This is the most awaited camera comparison for mid-range phones, with the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, the Samsung Galaxy A55 and the Nothing Phone 2a. For $400, these are among the best if we only consider new releases. Personally, I don't have a favorite, but you can tell me in the comments which one do you think it's the best. I want to start this comparison with this photo because it sums up each phone very well. While these two represent the scene more brightly, the Galaxy maintains the shadow with better HDR, but when we zoom in, you can see how the Nothing Phone is quite processed while the Redmi keeps a more natural sharpness. To show you that this is not a one-off, here's another example where we can basically conclude the same thing. In general, you can expect the Nothing Phone to have a somewhat more exaggerated exposure, while the Galaxy has the best dynamic range of the three. It's clear that in simpler situations you won't notice this difference, and even with the front-facing camera we see exceptions. But it is just me, or the front camera of the Nothing Phone is really good. I mean, just look at this. And that's why I prefer to focus on their main differences in order to help you choose the one you like the most. But going back to the previous point, you see, I've done more than 60 photos with the three phones at the same time. And since I don't want to make you lose time because with exceptional conditions, all of these phones have great cameras. Basically, what I usually do in my comparisons is show you the main differences between all of them in order to help you pick the one you like the most. With the ultra-wide-angle lens, for example, only the Galaxy reaches the value of 0.5, while the others stay at 0.6. On several occasions, I've also seen how the Samsung and the Nothing Phone have some focusing issues. In this image, for example, you can see how the Redmi is the only one in which you can read the sign. But I think we can see the biggest difference in sensor quality during night photos. By the day, they all do it with their respective style, but at night, the Redmi is the clear winner, and perhaps with this other one, I can prove it to you even more. In not so dark situations, the results are much better for the Samsung, but look how even recording a video, the Redmi is the only one that manages to maintain focus. Another surprise I had was when taking macro photos, and I know this is not quite fair for the Nothing Phone 2a because, well, it doesn't have a macro lens. And if you try to take a picture, it might come out like this. But if you manage to focus by zooming in, the truth is that it's not bad. And the color in the Redmi isn't bad either, even knowing that it has a worse sensor than the Galaxy A55. The most curious thing about making this comparison on this rig with the three phones mounted on them is that the picture quality, the preview, of the Nothing Phone, it looks so much better on the screen than the others. Perhaps because of its superior exposure, which is something I've shown you through the video, but then it has the worst white balance while the Redmi was the most balanced of all. Before starting this comparison, I thought the A55 was gonna be the clear winner, but now I'm not so sure. So tell me in the comments, which of the three would you choose for taking photos? Only for taking photos. While you think about the answer, I want to show you some videos that I've made with the three phones, which all recorded in 4K 30 frames per second with their main sensor, and also they bring optical stabilization, although as you can see with the Redmi, there's clearly room for improvement in this regard. Also, with the front-facing camera, only the Galaxy records in 4K, while the others only at 1080p. Now in terms of color profile, you can see that each phone has its own interpretation, with a more saturated color on the Nothing Phone, a warmer and more detailed tone in the Galaxy, and a more smooth and opaque video with the Redmi. Actually, the Redmi looks much worse in video mode than when taking photos, mainly with the issue of overexposure in environments that require high dynamic range, which means that you will have to do some extra work when recording, since if you adjust it, well, you can see how its results are also great. The Samsung seems to be the most balanced when recording, as it controls the exposure, but its contrast and saturation is not as pronounced as the one on the Nothing Phone. Disregarding the autofocus problem in dark environments, the Galaxy gives us a very balanced results in general. Although, if you decide to put a little bit more effort when recording, you can achieve the same quality with the other two. Now the only thing that's left is to compare the microphones of all of these phones. I'm right now in my garden and you can actually hear the AC unit working, so let's see how the noise cancelling works. Anyway, let me know in the comments which one do you think has the best microphone. Having said all this, I don't see a clear winner between the three, and if I had to choose a phone for taking good pictures and good video for less than $500, well, I will still pick the Pixel 8. The one that surprised me the most was the Redmi, because it's a Xiaomi phone and I wasn't expecting it to be better than the Galaxy, For example, with the macro, with the night photos, and with better sharpness. Although, when you switch to video, well, it's not that great. The Nothing Phone 2a, on the other hand, it's the cheapest of them all, and I think that for what you're paying, you're getting a great device. Although, it's a little bit oversaturated, the contrast, it's also too high, but if you manage to control everything, I think you get a good value for your money. But if I had to pick a winner between the three, I would get the A55. I think it's the most balanced, with photos, the best video, although, the macro and the night photos and even the selfie camera was kinda meh. But anyway, remember, this is just my opinion, and if you have a different one, you can always leave it in the comments. I see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao!